Do you remember when you first got involved with Buddy Check 24? I mean, in the very beginning. What was it like?
It actually was an assignment. And the news director at the time said, hey, we're gonna launch this program. We want you to introduce it to our community. And we did a huge blitz. And it really, I think, contributed locally to spreading breast cancer awareness. And at that time, I think there was a whole national movement about October being Breast Cancer Awareness Month. We launched the program in October, the whole pink ribbon movement, everything was kind of evolving at that time.
Did you have any idea what it would become and the impact that it would have way back in those days?
I really had no idea. And a lot of women at that time didn't feel comfortable talking about it. And I remember even interviewing women who had been diagnosed with breast cancer, felt even a little bit uncomfortable about just going public about it. It was, obviously it's a very personal and private matter, but I think women soon understood the importance of sharing their stories because it would help other women.
So you can see the results on the large scale. How much energy got behind it, how many people got behind it, how it spread across the country. But you also heard individual stories down on the one-on-one. People have spoken to you and told you things. What are some of the things they tell you?
I've heard just so many amazing stories. So many women who were brave and came forward to tell their stories. Mm-hmm. Some who are survivors today, and some who didn't make it and knew they weren't going to make it, but still wanted to share their stories. A woman sent me a letter, that was pre-internet, and emails and that type of thing. She sent me a letter and told me that Buddy Check had saved her life, that she was actually watching TV, and we would, on the 24th of every month, we air little reminders that air during the course of the day. She saw it. She's like, oh yeah, I've got to do my exam. Did her self-exam and found a lump, and it ended up being cancer. And she's from Atwater. She's still here today, thankfully, celebrating birthdays every year. I'm always so happy to see that on Facebook. That was when it was like, wow, this program is a life-saving program. And even just recently, a few weeks ago, I was somewhere. This was after I retired, and I ran into a woman who said, "Are you Stefani?" And I'm like, "Yes." And she said, "I just want to tell you that Buddy Check has saved my life twice." Honestly, I'm so proud to be associated with a program like that. It was just such a unique opportunity for me, and has always been one of the most gratifying projects I've ever been involved in, because it truly has saved lives and impacted lives and continues to do so.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about that. So now you're retired. Obviously, you've seen the impact from decades of this.
Yes.
But now the torch gets passed, and somebody else is still going to do that. The importance of this, the work, the message, still needs to get out there.
And I'm so glad, because we're asking women to take care of their health every month. It should be a part of their health routine. It's a lifelong health habit, and we need to continue that important message. And especially for women under 40 who don't go yet maybe for their yearly mammograms.
You're spewing out all these nuggets of information, and I'm assuming when you first started, maybe your knowledge of breast cancer was different. It's been a learning experience for you all this time.
Right. I'm not an expert by any means, but I learned a lot, mainly from, well, certainly talking to experts and talking to women who lived it, I remember one young woman who kept begging to her doctor to do a mammogram on her, and the doctors weren't listening to her. And by the time she was diagnosed with breast cancer, it was stage 4, and she didn't make it.
Have you seen the medical industry evolve as well, given what we knew, either factually, medically, in terms of equipment, but also just in terms of sensitivity to what people are going through or what they should expect, taking care of the patient on more of a holistic level. Have you seen
Right.
evolution over the years?
I definitely. I think the spreading of awareness impacts not only just the community at large, but the medical community too. And I think women have learned to be their own advocates and maybe demand some things or taking steps that, okay, you can go and get a second opinion on things.
And what it changed, like you mentioned before, that people were shy and didn't want to come forth.
Yes.
To the point where now, not only am I willing to speak about it, but I'm an advocate, not only for myself, but maybe for other people too.
Right.
That's a whole different change.
Yes, it is. When breast cancer is caught early, like most forms of cancer, gives you your greatest chance of survival. And so I think maybe more people are catching it earlier and more people certainly are surviving. It's not a death sentence.
So you've had an opportunity all these years via television and be in your position to be kind of that advocate, to be this voice, to push for the checks, to push for awareness. If there's one last thing we could ask you and say, what would you tell the audience right now? What would you say to them?
I would just say that do a self-exam. Again, as women, we need to take care of ourselves so we can be there for the people that we care about. It's a very important part of taking care of our health, and we can't forget to do it.